Hello everyone, today we're taking a look at the TuneRC F15404 Pro Toothpick. TuneRC's 04 Toothpick, but it's not only limited to the 04. They have print files available in their support section for the 03, as well as the original Vista, if you have some of those hanging around that you want to use on something like this, maybe a naked Vista. They also have several different print files for mounting the Cadix new HD systems, the Avatar and the Avatar HD, and I think there's a Nano as well. But I'll link that down below. So essentially what you get if you were to purchase this is kind of everything but the video system, and it comes in at around $123. $122.99. The flight controller is the Poly F405. That's version 1.2. This is 3S. Recommended battery is a 450 milliamp 3S battery. It does have dampening built in, which I played with quite a bit trying to get the tightness just right, but we could talk more about that in the flights. Motors are VCI. They are 1204, 5600 keV. And the props are the Jim Fan Hurricane 3020 props. I did mount the antenna myself down here, and I also added this battery pad because it did not come with one. And of course, I did the blue zip tie to secure my battery lead because we don't want a battery ejection tugging on our ESC pads because that's a painful and expensive repair. Looking back, I wish I'd have put my battery strap in this way so my battery could have went this way. It'd have sat flatter and nice. With the 04 Pro, it weighs 114.58 grams. I did test flying on these three batteries, but I did the freestyle flying on just the 550s, even though that's bigger than they recommended. With the G&B 720, it weighs 167.76 grams, and I got 7 minutes of 30 seconds of exploratory type of flying. With the 660 from G&B, it weighs 163.85 grams, and I got 5 minutes and 50 seconds on average of exploratory flying. And with the Lava 550 from Beta FPV, it weighs 157.37 grams, and I got 6 minutes and 15 seconds on average of exploratory flying. We'll see the more aggressive stuff in the video. The arms look to be 3mm thick, and at about the midpoint looks about 6.5 millimeters wide. You can see right here, there's a separation. So the arms are each individual, so you could replace one arm or two arms, whatever you happen to need. And motor post and motor post, I'm getting about 154.5 millimeters. And it did come with one sheet of stickers, which I cut on accident. This will be our freestyle flight, and this is what I guess you would call freestyle flight. Freestyle for me. 65 degrees, so the weather is getting a little bit better. Hopefully the weather in your area is getting better as well. I see a little bit of vibrations every now and again. Now, is that the tune? Is that because I did not get the screws just tight enough, just right? I don't know, but I didn't just slap it together and go out and fly. I flew it a couple of different times, and I had one really big crash, and I'll show you that as well. But I tinkered with getting the screws, looser and tighter to see if I could change that little bit of vibration. It doesn't happen all the time, but there's a number of times within the flights where I see a little bit of vibration. Of course, for the freestyle flight, we're only looking at the DVR file, so it's kind of our native goggle view, so that we do see those imperfections. Of course, you could go into the 04 if you turned on the Rocksteady, and it would probably, at the very least, it would soften some of those vibrations that we see. But that's the first point I wanted to make sure I discussed, because I did give it an honest go over the course of a couple of weeks of trying to get the screws just tight enough. I say a couple of weeks because, yeah, as the season's changed, the weather hasn't been great. But on this particular day, obviously 65 degrees and 7 miles an hour wind, pretty dadgum good day. Hopefully we have more of those ahead of us so that we can enjoy more outside time, whether it's flying FPV or otherwise. Just being outside again is going to be nice. If you're one of those lucky people who live in an area that always is sunny, well, you don't get to see the snow, which we do get, so I did initially, when I got this, it did not come with prop screws, or at least mine did not come with prop screws. They did note on the website a few changes that they've made since, I think, December of last year when this initially launched. Prop screws are a must, and I kind of had a gut feeling that prop screws were going to be necessary, but it didn't come with them. So I flew it that way, and yeah, I had a problem, a big problem. It ended up in a big crash, and that 3D print did kind of break apart and was unusable. I did have, since I got another 3D print from TuneRC, because I didn't want to find a print service. I gave away my printer, if you didn't know. My brother-in-law has younger kids, so I gave our old printer that I just wasn't interested in doing print stuff. So I gave that away, so I had to wait for TuneRC to send me another print. and put that on and did a lot more flying with it after that. And did have several crashes, but again, it's a print. It's going to break, so you can't just say, you know, I've got one copy, but at least they have the print file available for us so that you can download it, print it on your own printer if you have it out of materials that maybe you prefer, or you can, you know, take it somewhere to have someone who's got a print farm print it for you, or at one point in time, public libraries used to have printers that may have gone away since 3D printing has become kind of more mainstream. But that's, you know, you might have a friend or someone that you can, you know, go over and bring them a pizza and get a couple of prints off of them or something like that. You know, it's way better than having it hidden behind some sort of paywall or just not posted at all. That's something about prints in FPV that has always kind of irritated me. I know they want to protect their work behind the design, but when it comes to customers, just, you know, put it freely available on your website. I'm not just talking about TuneRC. I'm talking about anybody who has quads for sale out there and you have prints. Yeah, initially, if someone's going to buy them, but, you know, I think you need to have them out there, especially those critical ones for camera mounting and antenna mounting, stuff like that. But our FreeStyle Flight finished, 3 minutes and 31 seconds. You can see our battery voltage in the lower left, 3.57 volts, so we're in good shape. So we're going to jump right into kind of a cruisy sample, just so you understand, or we're on the same page as far when I say exploratory sort of flight. You know, no flips, no rolls, no punch outs, no dives, no power loops, no real tricks. You're just going out, you're kind of exploring like a bird might, and this is kind of what I do for my flight time testing. And so those flight times that I reported initially, this is the type of flight that we got. In this particular case, the winds are kind of high, 18 to 24 miles an hour. I thought it handled it just fine. We switch over into the rock steady view just to give you a look at that. Again, they have prints for this, that the 03, the Vista, Walk Snail, Moonlight, Avatar Pro, Nano. So they have a fairly flexible line of prints available for this. I have not tried them all, but they're available in their support, so you can try. You could put on other HD systems. You don't have to have an 04. You can have an 03 or the Vista, or you can move to a different one altogether with the Cadix line of the Walk Snail Avatar HD video and camera system. So those are available, but I don't think you can get those with your initial order. So you kind of get an 04 mount with your initial order. So, and maybe there you could do something in the notes field or something. I don't know. I don't work for these companies, and I try to keep my communication to only that's what's necessary, just to make sure there's a separation there. But that's a pretty good sample of kind of the exploratory cruisy flight. Let's jump into the crash. Okay, this is without prop screws, which they now include in the kit. And this isn't going to last long, but this is not the first flight. My first flight, I just kind of did some throttle pumps around the yard, just trying to test the props to see how well they stood on. You see I do a couple of flips and rolls, kind of low altitude. And then I'm going to do a punch, just go for it. And yep, blew a prop right off. Well, it flew off. Oddly enough, the prop landed on the cement, not far from where I'm sitting, but the quad ended up over in my neighbor's yard. So eventually I go and retrieve it, and of course it's all broken up. The canopy is just broken into pieces, which this is the results of that crash. It broke, both of these sections came off of here. The back end was broken up quite a bit. It just, you know, is no longer usable. There might be a glue out there I could have used, but you know, I just went back to them as like, you know, okay, we got to have prop screws. This, you can't fly this aggressively without prop screws. And I'm going to need another print. Thank you very much. I do think another thing that I would like for them to do is to include a battery mat, because we do have, hopefully you can tell, we do have these screw heads, and they are going to stick up, and you're going to end up, at the very least, making indentions in their battery. So if you're not a graceful lander, or you tend to come in and do hard landings for whatever reason, maybe you like those, you could eventually damage your batteries with a little, you know, 2-cent battery pad. That can save you a lot of headache. And this is just a generic that I have. I think it is actually from Flywoo. I just cut little pieces off and stuck it on there. I mentioned it briefly, but I do wish I had mounted my battery sideways. So taken this strap and run it through here, because you can tell it's basically got the same holes all the way around the frame. So I could have ran my battery strap this way. I could have put my battery in this way, which I like, and especially in these configurations with the battery mount at the bottom, it helps to keep it steady, so when you're setting it down on the ground, it doesn't lean so heavy off to one side. When you do have the battery like this, it will sit a little bit flatter, and at the very least, it'll lean forward and back a little bit, which, for me, it's a minor thing, but it's something that I wish I would have had the foresight and have done. So I wanted to make sure I brought that to your attention. You are locked in on your camera angle. That is the downside of this print. There is no adjustment. Now, you could make an adjustment. Anything is possible with time and energy and commitment. You could make some grooves in this print with a file or something, and then you could make it to where the camera angle was adjustable. But they have obviously designed it right at this angle, because you can see that the print goes right pretty much as far out as you can with the camera in order to get just a touch of camera protection with that print, versus hitting directly on these flanges at the top and bottom. But you could, if you have those skills, you can take their print and remix it some way to make it better, and then print it on your own printer if that's a thing. Again, I think of this as kind of DIY on the top half, that they have the print file available, and if you're interested in this sort of quad and you want to, have your own twist on their print, that you start with their print and you move on for whatever ideas you have. I do have some concerns with the soft mounting. I don't know that I got it right. I don't know that I got it wrong. I tinkered with how tight I had the screws and how loose I had the screws. Do note that on one side, the mounts are the same with the aluminum standoffs, and then on the other side, they're different, which is a little bit of a curious thing. I'm guessing that's for USB access, because we do have the screw right here, same screw that we had on this side, but they don't, they didn't have the print set to do that same way of mounting. So I feel like this side is a little softer in my case than this side, and I tinkered with this a lot, but what I got in the FreeStyle video that I showed you was kind of what I see as my best mix of vibration free video as well as not crashing a ton. I did have several crashes. They're all relatively minor crashes, and hopefully I'll play them, or I have been playing those little bits up here with this particular canopy. Obviously, this canopy was the big crash where the prop flew off, and then I landed in my neighbor's yard. So that was the big crash that did this. Several other crashes, tumbling crashes in the yard, things of that nature. It seemed to do just fine. I think at one point in time I wanged around the fence, and then pop. I don't know, I was doing something slow, is in what I have in my memory. So the antenna came loose, and I just decided to put it here, which I don't know that was the best spot, because if you notice here that once the antenna gets around here, it gets mighty close to be able to reach the prop, and you can see mine is a little bit rough on the end, but that could have been because of a crash, maybe. I think it would be better to possibly run the antenna, back out this way, and there, to be a mount, or you could take a zip tie or whatever DIY in order to get the antenna kind of up and pointed away from the DJI antennas out back this way. But this did work, but depending upon your comfort level and the flight style or type of thing you're wanting to, this might not be great, but I wanted to call it out. As far as the construction goes, the native construction for the most part is, the bottom half is done for you. You've just got to mount here. I will say in their print, these little self-tapping metal screws, they are fairly challenging. You are going to have to press hard to keep your your screw head, your screwdriver in the head of the screw, and get enough pressure to turn. So don't be surprised at that. The holes are apparently designed to be very tight tolerances. That way they actually, each screw, it gets a little bit of a threading that it puts in the print, and it is a hard print. I don't know what type of material this is, but it lived up to some crashes, but not the biggest of the big crashes. I didn't mention it, but we do have a capacitor down here. Let's see. What's that say? Everybody loves to know what it says. Maybe you can see that. I'm having a hard time. Let me get my specs. That's why I couldn't see it. It was upside down. All right, so 35 volt, 220 microfarad capacitor. When I say specs, I'm talking about these. I use these things all the time. My glasses, I only need those to like drive and see far. So when I'm here at the desk, I have to use these to read little things. I'm getting to be that age, I guess. Oh, these things are only like $12 from Amazon, and there's probably like cheaper ones too. There's a little light on the front that's kind of nice. I've talked about this before, but not a lot. I think the thing that you want to watch out for is the nose pieces, because I've had a few people, when I have brought up these, talk about the nose pieces for them pinch. Maybe it's just a difference in size of the nose or something like that, or a skin sensitivity. But that's the one thing I can remember of getting called out. They come with a kit of different lenses that you can clip in and clip out. I don't have that handy, but I've just been using this one for the longest time. So if you're a guy like me or a gal like me that the vision isn't quite what it used to be, might be a nice little $10 investment. But as for the TuneRC 04 toothpick, 03 toothpick, Vista toothpick, Walksnail Avatar toothpick, whatever you want to call it, I think it's solid. My one concern is, do I have the screws tight to where I have them set right? They do have a preset for the Tune Mouse FPV, so good on Mouse FPV for posting that. I don't know if he's sponsored by TuneRC or not, but so that's available to you if you build something like this and you want to start off with a base tune, maybe. Or you just want to do something different altogether. Nice thing is you don't have to worry about losing the CLI if you're not one who makes backups of your CLIs when you buy a new quad, because the preset is already out there in the Betaflight repository. So it's already there for you. You don't have to worry about losing it or having to go find it. It's out there for Mouse FPV. $122. What do you think about the price for a kit that does include camera and video transmission system? Is that about right? It seems about right to me, but you know, prices have just been rising so much, so maybe I'm just getting used to prices continuing to go up. There will be a link to TuneRC. I don't believe it'll be an affiliate link. I think you can only get this through TuneRC's website. I don't think I have an affiliate with them, so you don't have to worry about that. But you can always just use your fingers on your keyboard and go to TuneRC.com and then pick up that little quad or dig into it a little bit more or grab the print file or what have you off of their website. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please let me know in the comments section below. I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.